What is up? What is up? Welcome back. Welcome back to Face Off Around the Culture. I'm your host Horatio.
I'm your host, Badal. What's going on, man? What's going on with you this week?
Hey man, the last week of the band season ended with a bang. I mean, a lot of bands was in Atlanta. They showed up. You had two events, two in band of the year. How do you think this last week was as far as wrapping up the whole season?
It was an interesting last week, with the Celebration Bowl going on. You had FAMU, Howard, and then the ESPN Band of the Year first event. It was interesting to see how those bands participated with Jackson State, North Carolina A&T, Florida Memorial University, and Virginia State University. Interesting
Yeah.
wrap up. It seems like, with the Celebration Bowl, when that was first introduced, it had like another week to the band world, and with this ESPN Band of the Year thing, we get a little more content at the end of the year closing out.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, what's great about this battle is that the tier one had the dynamics of this podcast. I went to A&T, you went to Jackson State, so I was excited to see, how this came together. This was the day before the Celebration Bowl. The only thing I was like mad about with the battle was nobody showed up. It wasn't that
Right.
yeah, it wasn't that many people in the stands. I was like, damn man, a lot of people. There was people graduation. There was stuff going on, so you just wish that there was an audience that was, because showing in this battle. But yeah, man, good battle. So we get okay. Let's get into a discussion before we get into the actual topic or the actual battle. So a discussion I want to get into tonight is some stuff should never leave the band room. And we're talking about this in the new social media age of band. I've been seeing a lot of stuff as far as cuss outs, unnecessary working out, whatever on social media. What do you think about that as far as like this new era of stuff, and what is good or what's not good to be put out? On social media as far as making what looks as discipline, or does it look like, So what is it? What do you think?
Number one is like, first thing I do is intent. Like, what are you trying to show the world, or what are you trying to broadcast of your program and what's around? Because a lot of the stuff that's been posted or people post can be damaging to outside eyes, or is it more so like we want to shed light on these situations? It doesn't seem like one of
It's
those
almost
type
never
of.
that one. It's almost
It's
never
like,
that. It's always
it's like
look
hey,
at how our director is going off on us.
right. It
Type
is.
content. That's what I'm talking about.
Why would you do that? Like, why would you do that? And
Right.
I just don't understand. Like, we had like we was all in bed. We all had moments where it's like, wow, this is really going on. But it always stays like locked up in it. It's never posted on the internet. Oh man, I just don't know. They lose me on that one. Like, why would you post your band director cussing somebody out? Or some things is just a bad look. Like, why would you want to just put that out there? And then it's like, people gonna know it's you. People gonna know where it's from.
Right.
It's real small. Like, we know who's sitting right here. We know
Yeah.
going on here. It's just a bad look for yourself. Unnecessary pressure. And then you gonna be getting caught on film, getting cussed out next time. So
Right. Exactly. You're trying to make fun of somebody getting cussed out, and it's you next time. But imagine if they had social media back in the day. the amount of stuff that would be, broadcasted on social media. But so we're gonna keep that as a discussion in this time, for this episode, social media in the era of bands. Yeah.
I don't know if you remember this day, right? But I'm gonna keep it vague. We was in the band room, and a particular student's mother came to
Yeah, I remember that. And that's a day where if we was really like on our phones like that, we was really like, that's easy content. He could have got fired. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but like you gotta think about that too. Especially I wouldn't think about high school, I'm thinking about college. Now we're talking about HBCU bands.
Yeah.
Obviously these are adults. You know what I'm saying? when you got kids, that's even worse. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The stuff that they can expose on social media, especially with the emotions of a teenager. You know, school. You know, when you're in high school, they let a lot more slide. You know.
Right.
But yeah, great example. Great example. So that's the discussion. So the topic for tonight is who is the real band of the year. All right, because we've been talking about this for at least the past 2-3 episodes. As far as, do we think that bands should be ranked? Do we think that these companies, ESPN, whatever, have have the right people to judge? And they came out with the band of the year with these 4 bands, and they chose as the winner North Carolina A&T, and for the other tier and for the second tier they chose Florida Memorial. Now we've been on Florida Memorial since probably the inception of them, since they're only like 3 or 4 years old. So what did you think about? I know we already talked about the match, but what did you think about the actual event and how everything ran as far as this ESPN battle?
Man, I hate to say it, but it felt thrown together. It really felt thrown together. I think what made it kind of feel that way is just the overall fan presence that wasn't there. They maybe need to do like a bundle, throw a celebration bundle, Celebration Bowl, ESPN Band of the Year bundle out there and get more people to come to the event. And with how the stand action went and the people on the announcers, it just really got sloppy at the end, man. So it's just kind of messed up with the presentation and the pageantry of the event. And when you have something like ESPN's first band of the year, I would feel like for an event like that, because I'm assuming that ESPN wants this to hold some type of weight or some type of honor with being achieved there. So I feel like there would need to be a little bit more prestige or pageantry. And one thing I did ask myself is, who exactly is this event for? It wasn't really clear who this Band of the Year event was for. Because if you look at the Band of the Year candidates, you're probably talking about a band head fan base for the most part, right? And starting off, it really didn't feel that way. But there wasn't enough drive from the general public who weren't band heads to make it feel like, oh, it's just the general public. Everybody needs to see these band type of events. So I feel like, they need to really decide where they want to go with it and who to promote it to exactly to get that type of feel. Just from just an environmental type of standpoint of the event, I appreciated that they threw in the songs at the end, but I feel like for a band year type of thing, you got to get more opportunity, especially.
And that part was kind of rushed too. The last battle part was kind of rushed. But I wanted to get your opinion on this. What do you think puts more butts in the seats, like the crankety crank up bands, or as far as the band head versus the casual, right? Because in an event like this, it was on ESPN. You're trying to get the casual, you're trying to get people like families and stuff like this out, right? So the bands that are really giving it for the band heads, do they really put butts in the seats for this type of event? So that's what I was asking myself throughout this whole thing too. Not only who was it geared to, but since I don't see that many people, it could have been the selection of bands, because Jackson State has a big fan base, so does A&T. Obviously not Florida Memorial, but Virginia State has more than Florida Memorial than I would think. But okay, let's go ahead and get into the.
That's a good question, because to be honest, I don't think the band world in general has figured that part out yet. With all events, I don't think there's really anybody going from Queen City to National Battle Bands to Honda that has really figured out this is the type of audience, or this is the type of thing or format that really puts butts in seats. I don't think really hasn't figured out that science yet. But honestly, I don't think it's that hard. I don't think it's really that hard. As far as in my opinion, Queen City when it was really Queen City was the closest thing. But with this event, it's December time. You got so many competing other things. It's a really difficult placement to get butts and seats for this event. That's why I think kind of the best idea is kind of get a bundle or something in collaboration
Yeah.
with that Celebration Bowl to get more people to come out for that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Because I actually went to the game, and
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, this could have easily been maybe two up front, two at the end. I don't know. They could have mixed it together because it was obviously a lot of people at the Celebration Bowl, but I
Mm-hmm.
feel like the band needed to beat off that attendance as well. So all right. So with this battle, Jackson, let's jump into the shows. And then we can jump into like the fifth quarter. Who you want to start with? Let's start with Virginia State.
Yeah, let's start with Virginia
Now,
State, man.
yes. Now, this was a good show from Virginia State, right? But to me, the problem with this show was it wasn't like boom. It wasn't like it felt like a good homecoming show, right? But I put good energy, flowing show, which is kind of different for them. Like they went throughout the whole time. They really didn't stop that much. Um, I don't, I'm not a fan of when bands play the same thing on the like Jackson does that, like they play the blowing fanfare. Like they play the same thing on the field every single time. Virginia State does that. They've been doing that for a long time. They play like a fanfare that they always play. Cool, but to me, it's like I need something from the jump that's like different, that's exciting, that can really like compete. I put upper brass is the reason why they lost. They have a true mellophone trumpet problem that I think Virginia State needs to fix out, needs to work out. And they have like maybe out of their line of mellophones, 2 or 3 that really can like give it. You can hear them clear out, but it kind of sticks out. I really want the blend with the upper brass to be a lot better. What do you think about Virginia State show?
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I like their flow. I like how they presented, had good energy from the top. That sound with the upper brass, the mellophones was really just killing their sound overall. I like that they was playing with their presence, but once we get to like the sideline blowdown, it was just like random. It just really felt random and out of place. It wasn't really balanced. So you got to really, especially in this type of format, what I'm figuring out is based on how we see how the results went. Really for both bands is at this level, it's almost like it's about not making mistakes. It's about not making mistakes, and when you get that type of matchup, you're playing with a Florida Memorial, and you're really trying to win this event. I think show for show, if I take the bare bones out of Virginia State and the Florida Memorial, I would take the bare bones from Virginia State had, but it's just the execution, the plan, the overall sound that really wasn't there, that I felt like could have put them over the edge.
Right. I agree. I very much agree with that. So let's get into Florida Memorial. I put good show, good energy. I don't think I ever really saw them on the field like that. Like really pay attention to them. But I mean, really good, big sound. I like that they showed their tubas off in like a segment of the show. The ballad was "I Have Nothing" by Whitney Houston. That was a good choice. Overall, good show. But like I said, I feel like their show was just more clean. Like I don't know, it felt like. Granted, they was up in their windsuits, by the way, too. They're a new band. I don't know their uniform situation, but shout out to Florida Memorial, man. Like obviously, this is great for their program being 4 years old. Like this is something they can really stand with their program. Like they really shout out to their staff. My only problem with them is, bro, you could tell they have an old staff, and we're gonna get to it from there in the fifth quarter songs because some of them I want them to. Okay, you're established. Now we got to compete. Now we got to really compete as far as like making it competitive. Now we're not just a band just playing some good stuff. No, we need to transition from that and really compete. And I really want them to, especially with this win, they really can get some confidence. What do you think about that?
I really like the Florida show. Really clean. I like how their formations and their presentations coming out. Their bands think they're the Roar. So they played a little Lion King-esque type of fanfare at the beginning. So really identity. I don't think they have full band uniforms yet. Because I was watching, I was like, when I thought about it, I have never seen them in like full, traditional band uniforms. So I'm interested when that happens, what that's going to look like. Hopefully the winning of this leads to something that helps that move along or some type of way. But I think great sound. I also really enjoyed how they put the sousaphones up front. They could have had a little bit more clarity for me. I would say just a little bit more intensity, not just overall cranking, but it was I needed more separation in sound from them versus the rest of the band in that moment. I like their sound overall. They do they don't do the precision drill. They have the kind of just, I don't like calling it get there, but you kind of just you gotta get there, and nice imagery. I really enjoyed them, and I think that with how they presented sound wise, and it was a good enough show that I'm really happy with the fact that they had won that Division II, and I can see exactly, to me that's like a legitimate win, especially as far as Division II. And I'm thinking about like other bands just on that stage period, not like looking at the rest of the season and a route to get to ESPN Band of the Year. Like I could see like a SCSU competing against Florida Memorial. I could see potentially like Benedict on this stage in particular competing against Florida Memorial.
Yeah. So get into these two bands, the fifth quarter songs. And this is what I'm talking about when I say like start competing. Florida Memorial played outstanding by the Gap Band. It's like, come on, man. They only got one chance to play. Like, come on, man. This is not the song that we want to get to. I was like, I put outstanding, young with old directors. When I say young, I mean like, when I say old directors, I mean like, you know what I mean? Not old. All directors are older than the students. I'm saying like, old school. And I put not competing. Like, come on, man. I felt like it's your chance to go. You get one song outstanding. Come on, man. This ain't homecoming, bro. Come on, man. You got to get with it. Because Virginia State played Forever by Lil Baby. Again, I put upper brass, good tubas. We always know horsepower is going to do something. All right. So that's for the tier 2. Shout out to Florida Memorial, man, for winning. Obviously, great nod for their program. All right, so let's get to the tier 1. Now, this to me, as we've been talking about this, we've been talking. If you watch the show every week, when it comes time to talk about Jackson State and whoever they play for the week, we've really given to Jackson State a lot this year. Like, we talk about how good their staff is, how good the play calling was, everything. I mean, we said that they've beaten the bands that they played in a unique way every single week. Kind of giving them something that their band would do and beating them with their own kind of game, but still being Jackson. It's been great this whole season. So we were saying, to us, this is pretty open and shut kind of battle for us, especially if now we know A&T is great on the field, but especially if they were going to have a fifth quarter section, it's pretty much going to be good. Let's talk about Jackson State first. They did an Usher show. I don't know how many times I've seen Jackson do a theme show, but man, great energy. Off the top, great song selection. Obviously, with Usher doing the Super Bowl against the presidency in Vegas, this is a great time to do an Usher show. What you think about the show? What you think about them? I thought it was a great show. I mean, I really had no complaints about it. What you think?
I really enjoyed the show. They gave it a lot of different things. I loved how they remixed the Blowing Fanfare with the Superstar. I enjoyed that. I saw a lot of advanced drilling techniques from them that we traditionally see from Jackson State, particularly how they went into concert formation and spread out like that. Like usually it's just step 2s going in straight lines, but they definitely had some offset with the curves in it and really getting there on 8, just little small adjustments, and even coming down with the big X's in the drill. I thought that was really cool. And coming down flat towards the end of the show, that's really not something we see from Jackson State. So I really like that they put in different elements as a part of the show. To me, the show had a slow start and built to the end, which I would have liked to have a more fast-paced and out the gate type of start for an event.
I'm telling you why, bro. I'm telling you because they stuck to Blowing, bro. I'm telling you, look. This is a great fanfare. I don't know the history behind it. I didn't go to Jackson State, but I think it's about time to let that song go, bro. I think if you want the energy to come up at the beginning of a show, you can't do something that we all know. Even though the song is great, but come on, man. I was listening to playing Blowing in high school, bro. Like it's time for them to move past. And I think when you know what it's going to be, the Tiger Run is coming after it, that whole thing. And it looks fantastic and it's great, but I'm talking about just for something fresh and new. I don't always, and that's my thing with them too. It's like I have to wait until they start to drill for me to really get what they're doing this year, you know? But yeah,
because it's like I've seen things Jackson State has done that's still them, but ends up in a different way. Like they've done Tiger Run from both sides and done in the middle and have fanfare and then go straight into it. What I really thought was what then was too much was the drum major salute and then also blowing. Like both of them right on top of each other. It was just kind of like, okay, it's a real slow start. And then the drill is not, they're not facing front. So you don't really get the sound till midway through the show, which I really feel like,
right.
Even as a student, I feel like, yo, we should play to the front sometimes. Like,
yeah,
it just takes away because so much gets lost. Anyway, I just digress. I'll digress on that because that's just the majority of swag bands anyway. The way,
yeah. And that's something that A&T they pushed us when we got the A&T was like that's something that is very important. Always face to the front. Like that's something that we can't do. And I was actually watching the shows with one of my friends who marched in the band with me, and he was saying that same thing. We're trying to listen to the song, and I literally cannot. I hate that because it does take away from it. You spend all this time in the band room to try to learn the song, and then you get on the field and nobody can hear it because everybody's facing a different way. And when it's time for everybody to turn back around, it's not like Jackson State have a like. If we did that at A&T, we will all turn around at the same time. It's like a different. It's like a sort of an effect that now you can't hear anything, and now boom, we're all coming back in. You got squads turning in at different times. You have different lines of, you know what I'm saying, of different parts of the song. It sounds crazy, especially if you're up close. Now, of course, if you're at the top, you can kind of hear all of it together. But that's something that, like I said, we can. I mean, we can't change it just by, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's just part of the tradition, how it goes, man. And it's to me like bands that do that style overall, I feel like it's harder for them to sound good because you as an individual squad now have to do more work on your sound to make it sound good. Because if you on here and you hit a pinwheel and you the only one facing front and the rest of the band on the side, if y'all cranking up or y'all playing loud, it's just gonna sound crazy unless y'all really just locked in like that in the middle of the sound. So but after the slow start, I really felt like it really built up. So to me, Jackson State and A&T had like flip-flops for me. A&T had fast, open start, exciting, and then felt like to me it just kind of died. Whereas more Jackson State really felt like it was opening up to the middle until it had a larger ending.
Yeah, right. And that's why when I watched the show, I would say I appreciate Jackson show more because I felt like they were trying to. Jackson State's show was to be showed up. They were okay. I'm showing up for this Band of the Year event. This is showing this type of. Let's get to A&T. Okay, so I had to do something. I wasn't in Atlanta, but I had to do like an event at the same time as the battle, so I couldn't go. Right, so I'm hearing people talk about, you know, seeing people that marched the band later that night. I'm like, oh, how was the battle? I'm asking people, and they first tell me before I even watched that they started off with a song that we played when I was there, right? And again, I felt like that's lazy. And we were talking about this as far as the staff, calling out the staff earlier this season. But when we talk about like big events like this, I mean, and they won, so it's good for them. But when we talk about big events like this, I feel like stuff should be new. Like it should be like new, not only new as far as the arrangement, but new. You just want a different something that people can go run to. Like, oh, this is their show. This is something that's completely new. They start off with Boogie Nights, the intro we played when I was there, and then went into the full Boogie Nights, right? Which these are like type of songs that I feel like A&T is like will play all the time. So I feel like when I was hearing that, I'm like, all right, like nothing really. It didn't really like. To me, it was an okay show. I really wanted their song selection better. You know, I've been talking about them at in Indiana 2 weeks ago. I was like, man, this is why I came to A&T. This is so great. Like I felt like that song selection from that show was way better than this. But I felt like the show was okay. Like it didn't really give me anything. They had a good closer as far as like their formation and stuff. But sound wise, it didn't really give me like that. So when they announced the winner at halftime, I was like, well, I mean, I think Jackson State watched the show. But at the arena when they announced it, I don't say I was surprised. Of course, I'm I went to A&T, so of course I'm gonna be happy that they won. But the band had to miss like, all right, come on now. All right, let's talk about the fifth quarter songs. Now this is where Jackson got the ball. That's what Jackson got. I promise you, man. And look, and I love them. We talked about this staff play calling, but this play calling was awful. The first song they played was "On My Mama." Now we talked about this the whole year. This is a hat song. Everybody's played it. But J State played it in their show in the dance feature, right? I'm like, why would you use this time to play this one? I could use a better play call from JSG staff. We've heard the song plenty of times. I'm not saying they could have played a new song, but just a different song. Yeah. Something that is not as older than "On My Mama." But what you think about them? And then we get into the next song.
Yeah, like I definitely would have picked a different song if I was Jackson State, but and let me talk about A&T a little bit. I felt that A&T show was like lackluster for A&T because in my mind I'm thinking these are the type of events A&T excels at. You have things like the Bad Boy Show, the Day Show, the Night Show, all those caliber type of performances. Even some a little more recent, which put them out there. I think the show in Indianapolis was just far more better than what was given to us in this performance. And when I'm thinking band of the year, I'm thinking band of the year, right? This was not We Are the Band of the Year. This was not that type of performance. Granted, it was great, but coming into it, I felt like take me in and do what you do, and it's almost could have been looked at as like a cakewalk where they're taking Jackson State for granted on the field show. It almost felt as though it's like, okay, Jackson State, they're going to come in, they're going to do blowing, they're going to put JSU on the field, have a dancer feature, hey, maybe a nice J-Set song, and it's going to be curtains because we got to go to Rose Bowl in a couple weeks anyway. So we just out here like this, and we're going to be A&T, it's going to be all good. But to me, it just didn't feel like we are the band of the year. And it just, even though they won, it kind of left me feeling like, I've seen a lot in the comments too, which is really polarizing with them winning. It's just like, well, then maybe they're the band of the year. I guess they're the band of the year. It doesn't feel like North Carolina A&T is the band of the year, and I feel like for the I would say legitimacy of this award, I feel like in a way A&T winning almost damages it.
I feel like, right? Okay, so we've watched A&T this year too, right? They never really took something like that. Like never really took it. We talk about taking it, being they never really took it this year. Like that was
where the topic came up. The NSU A&T battle. That's where the taking it topic came up. The first time.
Right. Exactly. That's the battle we're talking about. So they never really like that. So okay, you mess around and you get band of the year. My thing is, okay, you're really not really in there like that. So with this show, let's show them that we're in there like that. So I was expecting something crazy. You know what I'm saying? They didn't really give me that crazy, but that goes back to what we were talking about earlier. A&T, the people who book these competitions know that A&T can bring in the casuals. I think more than Jackson State. Jackson State brings in the bandheads, right? But the bandheads realize that if you can watch on ESPN, I'm just gonna watch on ESPN. The casuals gonna show the people, the families. That's what A&T brings in. So that's what I was thinking. But I'm thinking, like, how did they lose this and lose this battle going back to the fifth? Jackson State played at the end when they were telling people not to play, saying that they were going to deduct points off them. I don't know if that made something, that added on to it. But get back to the fifth. So that's been On My Mama. A&T played a new song, which I like the new songs, guys. New song. Bands like A&T had this kind of fire up in them every week so they can push out new stuff because they slack with the new song. Song called Paper Soldier. I put sounds like a 0 quarter song. I like it because it's different. UFOs are ass. North Carolina A&T has 21 euphoniums. 21 euphoniums. It should be like this should be. I mean, I'm sure Jackson State has close to 21, or you know what I'm saying, around or more. Come on, man. It should be crazy. But I will say shout out to A&T for well, let's get back. Jackson, I know, which I love. Every time I hear that song, I go, "This is a Jackson State." I mean, Jackson State and Travis Scott have this kind of synergy, you know, with their arrangements and the darkness of Travis Scott songs. A&T played it back. Now, what do we say on this podcast when we say? What do we say when we say if you're gonna play a song back, it has to be you? Everybody has to know that this is a better song because you put in the audience through two versions of the same song.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that it was newer. So obviously, Jackson State they played that at a game before, so like they've already played it outside and they're a little more comfortable. What I will say is, shout out to A&T for putting a student arranger there. When I was there, I've never seen that. Before I was there, I've never seen that. That's my first time ever seeing A&T put out a student arranger in front of the band. That's not in practice or something like that. So I thought that was good. That shows like they're letting their control go a little bit. But I feel like that was a bad choice. I feel like it was a bad choice playing. I know because I feel like Jackson State had the better arrangement. They could have came with something else. To me, T should have played that song first and then played the other one because it is, to me, that song was a stronger statement than the first song that they played. And then Jackson played Get Ready after that. So I think that's how they got the points deducted. What you think about the fifth with the rest of the?
I thought it was a good exchange. I thought it was a good exchange. I didn't like the Alma Mama first. I like the I Know a lot better. I'm glad they decided to play again because really just if you had that first round, just all four bands, like everybody was just in a different type of lane. It was just kind of weird. But shout out to A&T. I felt like the Band of the Year presence was more so A&T in the stands than what they prepared on the field, which is kind of like wild to me because it almost felt like they felt like the stands, we have something to prove, but we comfortable here in the stand. Where I felt like Jackson State was like, oh, we comfortable in the stands. We gonna play Alma Mama because we don't feel like A&T about to really bring anything, but.
Right, that's what I thought. But
more aggressive, they was like, "Oh no, we're not going out like that. We're not going
exactly." Yeah.
So exactly. I think for the stage, I have to see people in the comments talk about we need a battle between JSU and A&T. I'm like, do we really want that?
Look, we need a battle between A&T and Jackson State so that A&T we need that battle at the beginning. I'm saying it as an A&T alum so that A&T can get up, like. That's what you need, man. And we were talking about this in Atlanta. A lot of these, because look, I mean, this Celebration Bowl was Howard versus FAMU schools, right? So a lot of these, with the shifting of the conferences, A&T going to another thing, bro. It's hard for a band like A&T, give me another band like Tennessee State, bands that like have to in these different conferences to get up all the time because they're not seeing black bands. They playing Coastal Carolina and Villanova. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard for them to get up when you taking 2 weeks off, not seeing a band or whatever. When these swag bands see every single week, a legitimate band every single week, they can't sleep. So that's something that I would want just to throw in as like a good bowl game or something like that at the beginning of the season because I think that's valuable for a lot of these HBCUs that switch conferences.
I agree with you. I agree with you on that one. So with the topic was. Is this the real band of the year, right? And to me, it just doesn't feel like A&T was the real band of the year, even if I just completely solely look at this performance. It wouldn't have sold me. It just really wouldn't have. Shout out to them for winning though. Not taking away anything that they did, but just from a viewer perspective, a fan perspective. It would have just made me like this the band of the year. I'm not too sure. Them blue dudes over there, they really good too, and I like them. And they played On My Mama. I like that song. And
right, because honestly, if you were looking at it, right, if you were just a fan, you was like, hey, I know all these Usher songs. I know all of them. T is playing like a little bit older songs, like a wide range. But yeah. But shout out to A&T too, Aggie Brown, because the winners won $100,000. and we love the money. Every single HBCU band needs donations. But yeah, so shout out to A&T and Florida Memorial. Like you said, to the next year, I think people will want the title more than they will want like to prove that it's not legitimate. You know what I'm saying? So these bands next year, and it's good for the next year, are going to be trying to get to this thing, even if I'm not saying it's rigged, but or even if the best band doesn't always win, they still want the title because it sounds good. ESPN's Band of the Year. So shout out to Memorial A&T, man. But for us, I want to get into. Oh well, we'll get into the Celebration Bowl.
Right.
Did you watch any clips from the Celebration Bowl as far as
like a couple seconds of the pregame thing that they do? But I was like, am I really about to sit here? Look, y'all, I'm in the band head mode. Like, it's December. Yeah. If you was in the band around this time, your brain just you shut all the way down till like March, unless you got parade season.
Right, I'm about to say it turns to straight Christmas music, and Christmas music and cranking does not match. You need to turn that way down. You gotta bounce. You know what I'm saying? I went to the game, and FAMU is a great program, and they brought great energy. I mean, and they do what they do. Like, they show up, have the support of their fans and their fan base. Howard, to me, bro, was invisible. Now, granted, I was in the suite, I was in the box, I was up closer to FAMU fans, so I was kind of hearing them a lot more. I was hearing a lot more of them, but I watched a little bit of Fifth. As far as the field show, they had Stevenson High School from Atlanta perform, like the drum line perform. I thought that's pretty good. Howard came on. Howard, not memorable. What is up with these? Like, what's up with Howard, man? Let's really get into Howard as a program. Like, I was talking to people, at the game who were Howard alum, and they were saying that in 2003, 2005, there was a big band. You know what I'm saying? Like, with a strong culture. I just wish that bands like Howard, especially if you have a good football team, you have a good sports team, would really, like, I'm not saying work on their program, but I don't know if it's money. They were telling me it's expensive to go, so it's going to be hard to get the kids. Plus, I guess the band have a lot of money. We think about Howard as a program because they really was bland and it didn't feel like they were even in the building.
Right, Howard as a program, like, think about a lot of things, right? So let's talk about gentrification, man. DC not even the same no more. So where they recruiting from to go to Howard? Number one, and we know Howard is not a cheap university at all. And I think like just in that area, especially in that Northern Virginia, DC, Maryland area, the band culture is not what it was at its height in these earlier years. It's just not there. So I think like the strive and the push to keep that element alive, Howard is just a lot more difficult. And then it's really hard to bring those students in years after the fact because there's not a culture in place for them to automatically attach to and just want to go and participate off the strength, Right. So but I feel as though bands can still be productive and great and put out great material when they're in that lane. If you know what your limitations are, that you're only gonna have this many people in the band, or we're gonna be this size and this is what we can sustain. You can shoot for the 100% the absolute best product and have a strong culture in that lane that you're in. Like some bands will never see potentially like 300. And that's okay. Right. But if you really commit to your lane and what you do and do it well in that section, you was like, we are the small band and we have this type of quality, we have these standards. Yeah. But I would be interested to see like more about that band culture in the present day and to see how they operate.
Yeah. Well, first of all, don't let him confuse you. All right. It's not okay that you never get 300. All right, that's the goal. Let's keep it high. All right, come on now. Let's stop playing. But although of course, I think FAMU won the fifth. Mm-hmm. just great energy from FAMU's band, man. So shout out to them. They won the game. It was a great game too. Just like going back and forth. It wasn't like a blowout. It was really good. Hampton came up score. I mean, Hampton. Howard came up and scored 14-0 in the first quarter. So it felt like they were, saying, like, all right, well, this game's pretty much over. Then it was crazy to watch the conversation shift. We were like, who's coming here and start busting the sweat. And then, of course, it shifted and it was great. Great game. Mm-hmm. But I want to not only get our predictions for next year as far as give us a band that we think is going to be like emerge from their tier and kind of move up. So I want to start thinking about that. But give me top 5, top 3. Give me some top bands from this year, and why.
Okay,
I'll start because I wrote mine down.
Okay,
top is Jackson State. We don't got it. We've been talking about Jackson State a lot. Top Jackson State just because of the staff, man. The staff is really killer, and they're really on top of it as far as like knowing not even new songs that the reach out to the old songs that they're really good. 2, I'm gonna put FAMU. FAMU, man. FAMU had a good year. They had a great. To me, FAMU is showing that you talking about a band that knows their lane, knows their style, knows what they come to do, and deliver on that every single time. And they'll give you a little bit more. They'll give you a little bit more. Who was talking about Bethune? Talking about how Bethune is not even playing in their lane anymore. Like it's not even like good. They're not even the best in what they do. FAMU's definitely done a great job with that. 3, I wrote down Alabama State. I wrote this down last week. I don't remember why I wrote down Alabama State. I feel like Alabama State has had a good year. What battle did they show up really? Was it Jackson? They showed up and it was like, yo, Alabama State did a really good job. I think it was against Jackson or maybe Tennessee.
I thought it was a FAMU game.
You said what? Repeat yourself?
I thought it was a FAMU game too.
And the FAMU
game.
Right. So shout out to Bama State. And then 4th, I'm going Virginia State, man. Virginia State is a scrappy little band, bro. I feel like they need just more help with the upper brass. But to come out where they're at and to really kind of be on stages, they've really shown up and showed out on a lot of big stages this year. I feel like with some more exposure, they'll be able to be a good product next year. What you think? I give you 4. So give me a top 4 bands this year.
Sure, I got Jackson State.
Mm-hmm.
At the top. Very solid year, week to week. You just wasn't beating these dudes this year, man. It was something crazy every week. They had like a premiere song every week that everybody was talking about. For my number 2, I actually have Alabama State. Alabama State, I feel like top of the season, they just had really good performances and showings. And the only band I really didn't have them really showing out on was Jackson State. And I felt like they could have gave me so much more in the Magic City Classic versus A&M. Like both of those bands really just didn't push the envelope during that performance. But I think the FAMU game was great for them. Speaking of FAMU, I got FAMU at my number 3. FAMU, what I feel like FAMU did really well this year, because when FAMU had a stage, FAMU took the opportunity and delivered. Were they 100% the complete best? Like their best performances, the top 5 ever in all HBCUs this year? I don't think so. But when they had an opportunity to be seen, they had the moments. They had the A&M moments with the where they really just took off in that 5th, in my opinion. We saw them at the what is that? The first game at Jackson State. I mean versus Jackson State in Miami. Yeah. They took that moment, and seeing them in this the Celebration Bowl again. So they out there, and it's great quality, and not to mention the Florida Classic, where they really to me showed separation from Bethune.
Right. Yeah.
So
absolutely,
and they really did what initially we were talking about when FAMU joined the SWAC was stay FAMU and add more, give us more flavor, something different, because you're going to be competing against these other bands.
Right.
So shout out to FAMU. And what was that, 3? So topping it off, I'm going NSU. I'm going NSU because simply
I should have said NSU, man. That's a perfect choice.
The Tennessee State battle, because I felt like they had a long fifth, came up against a great opponent in Tennessee State, and they've been sounding really good on the field this year. The only reason I couldn't really put them higher because even with a band like FAMU, they gave us a lot more diversity in what they were playing as far as year to year and different things. Where NSU did what they traditionally do, but really well. If they would have expanded on a lot what they have done as far as in the stands, like they could have a complete. If they really applied themselves this year, as far as like in the stand in the book, they could have a complete W that's as clear, dominant performance over the ESPN Band of the Year, right? So
yes, that's a band that can show up and show out. As Norfolk State going to this type of band of the year thing, and that's I'm glad you said that, but because Norfolk State was the band I was going to choose as far as how can they come out of this like bottom of the top one kind of tier up to the top, and it's with their book, man. It's with Norfolk State really plays team. Old timey Earth, Wind and Fire, Anita Baker type of songs. It's like, yo, man, like this, and we talk about this with having old-minded staff, right? That wants to play what they want to hear, what they grew up on. It's like, man, you got to really be able to give that diverse feel, especially bringing in new people, bringing in people from different places. So Nova State is that choice for me. As far as actually, I would really like to see them, in a vehicle that pushes them to like the next level because they have it. I mean, that battle in Tennessee State really showed it, man. Like I don't think anybody thought that was going to be the battle, but they really showed up and they showed out. So, is that do you have a band like that, or is North State that one for you too?
I would say my honorable mention was PV, man. They just didn't see nobody, man. And when we saw PV, they were really good. They just didn't see you. It's like, what can you do? Like, it's one of those type of things. So my honorable mention.
Definitely. All right, well, guys, you heard our band of the year. You heard our next year predictions. Like we said, man, I mean, that was the topic of the night as far as who was the band of the year. Shout out to ESPN, though, like we said, really moving the culture forward, giving us something else to talk about other than the celebration. But then we love to see bands in stands, bands crank up, bands on the field, as long as we possibly can. All right, because after this we go into All-Star season, and though that's a breeze, we love to see HBCUs in the competitive mode as well. Like I said, the discussion today was about social media in the era of bands. Like, how does that contribute? Look, man, I'm like I said, I'm tired of your directors cut you out, the dysfunction between you on social media. We got to know what stuff to keep in house to try to keep our programs clean. You know what I'm saying, especially with public perception. Anything else that you have to wrap up this episode? Celebration Bowl, ESPN Band of the Year, next year predictions, a discussion, anything.
Man, if you on the social media stuff, man, if you just feel like the need to post something, do something that's not damaging to your program. Get me involved in your next matchup. Show me the behind the scenes of how y'all laughing at how the band's gonna come next. So give me that. Like, don't like we had a moment right before I think my freshman year before Boombox, someone brought like a Southern T-shirt into the band room, and we was cranking on the T-shirt. Like show me something.
Right.
Show me something that's actually like, don't show me you get cursed out. Don't show people's mamas and talking crazy. Like, I don't want to see none of that that's damaging to your program.
Definitely. I know. Look, I don't know if we have on other bands this year. I think this is it's definitely the last show for the year. So we definitely want to say shout out to Face Off for giving us the platform. Never shout out to listeners every week, man. Every week, you know what I'm saying, I get somebody DM me, or I see a new comment on YouTube, something. You know what I'm saying, the show. So we obviously want to keep bringing it to you guys. Tonight was the first night we're on Instagram, which is great. So you guys can see it in multiple different places: YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. So appreciate you guys. You can follow me on all social media at Horatio Radio. Follow the page Crank Up HBCU Band Podcast on YouTube, and follow us on Facebook. I mean, they post a lot of great band clips every single day, keeping you up to date with what's going on in the band world. But yeah, so guys, we appreciate you listening. And man, anything before we out?
No, thank y'all. Thank all the fans. Thank everybody that watches it. You know, we do this with y'all in mind every week. You know, trying to provide entertainment for you guys throughout the band season, keeping up with everything, the ins and outs of what goes on in the HBCU band world, top to bottom, field shows, stands, actions, you name it. So really, I just want to, take everybody that's been with us from the ship when we came from Twitter Spaces. Now we're in this video, so we're expanding, reaching new heights, and we appreciate the viewership.
Definitely, guys. Well, we appreciate you guys again. Make sure you stay tuned when we're going to be coming back. Because, like you said, this is the end of the season. But if anything, you'll definitely see us next season. For the next band season, we'll definitely be chiming in on some of the all-star band stuff. But definitely keep in lock with our YouTube as well, as we're going to be doing some stuff. But again, we appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for the whole season. We'll see you guys next week or next season. Peace out.